Let's talk about that all-too-familiar feeling of online rage. In this explainer, we're going to break down a really clear, actionable strategy for how to deal with it. We'll explore how to escape those digital echo chambers that seem to fuel so much of our frustration these days.
You know the feeling, right? You're just scrolling through your feed, minding your own business, and then you see a headline or a comment, and boom, your blood is just boiling. It's this physical, intense reaction. If that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. So what is actually happening in that moment?
Well, to really get a handle on it, we first have to diagnose it correctly. See, this isn't just about being annoyed or upset. There's a very specific dynamic at play when we're online, and seeing it for what it is, that's the first step to changing it.
And this quote from Albert Tan, it really reframes the whole issue. The source material is super clear on this. The problem isn't that you saw something that's factually wrong. No, it's about how your brain is emotionally processing that information.
Let's break that down a bit. We tend to think our anger comes from spotting, fake news or misinformation, but more often than not, it's an emotional gut reaction. That post isn't just a piece of data to your brain. It feels like a direct attack on your identity, your group, your tribe, and your brain just snaps into this protective, defensive mode.
So why does our brain do this? Why does it go into this defensive crouch? Well, it happens because we get stuck inside something called a reality tunnel.
The reality tunnel is a really powerful idea. It's kind of like you're wearing glasses that literally filter out anything that doesn't fit with what you already believe. Inside that tunnel, your views don't just feel like opinions. They feel like objective reality. And anything that challenges them feels like a personal threat.
And the consequence of living inside that tunnel is the state called epistemic inflexibility. It's a mouthful, I know, but it just means that when you literally can't process a conflicting idea, your brain defaults to its most primitive defense mechanism, rage. And of course, that just pushes you deeper and deeper into your tunnel, reinforcing the whole cycle.
Okay, so that's the diagnosis. It sounds a little bleak, but here's the good news. There's a treatment. There's a way out. So now we're going to walk through a 3-step strategy. Think of it like a mental fitness plan designed to help you find that exit door.
So, the echo chamber exit strategy has 3 core exercises. First, we're going to start with something called the steel man, which is a powerful way to break rigid thinking. Then we'll move on to context reweaving to find the bigger picture. And we'll finish up with diversified feed exposure to build up our mental immunity.
Okay, first up, the steel man exercise. You've probably heard of a straw man argument, right? That's where you describe your opponent's view in a really weak, flimsy way so you can easily knock it down. Well, this is the exact opposite of that. Here's how it works. You find a position you find absolutely infuriating. And then you try to build the best, the strongest, the most intelligent version of that argument you possibly can. Now, you're not trying to agree with it. Not at all. You're just doing a mental workout, a cognitive flex, to force your brain out of its usual rigid pattern.
All right. The next exercise tackles another huge problem online, something the source material calls context collapse. See, most of the posts that make us furious work because they've been completely stripped of their context. Your job is to put that context back in.
So, just imagine you're scrolling and you see this. Study proves your favorite food is now dangerous. The immediate reaction is probably fear or anger or just disbelief. But wait, hold on. This is the crucial moment. Pause. Before you feel that rage, before you share, before you type that angry comment, you hunt. You become a context detective. And here's your detective toolkit. You just ask, who's the source of this claim? Do they have a motive? When was this published? Is this new research or something from 10 years ago? And maybe most importantly, why is this being shared right now? Just asking these simple questions reweaves all that missing context, and you'll find it often completely deflates that emotional charge.
Okay, our final step is all about building up your mental immune system. Think about it. If you only ever hang out in your own echo chamber, any opposing viewpoint is going to feel like a devastating virus when you encounter it.
The source calls these challenging viewpoints epistemic pathogens. Now that sounds pretty bad, I know, but think of it like a vaccine. Small, controlled exposure to things that challenge you actually builds up your immunity so you're not totally floored when you come across a different perspective.
So here's the prescription. Deliberately follow a few sane, moderate voices that you disagree with. The goal here is exposure, not agreement. You're not trying to be converted. You're just getting your mind used to the idea that other intelligent points of view exist. And over time, this really lowers that tribal rage response.
So what's the ultimate point of all these exercises? The steelman, the context hunting, what's the end game here? It's all about developing a quality the source material calls epistemic agility.
This right here, this is the prize. Epistemic agility is basically the mental freedom to look at new, nuanced, even contradictory ideas without your identity feeling threatened. It's the complete opposite of that inflexibility we talked about earlier. It's the ability to think, not just react.
And the payoff is huge. You actually experience less anger, less stress, and you start to see the world not just in black and white, but in all of its true, more nuanced, and frankly, more interesting colors. You're no longer a prisoner of your own reality tunnel.
So I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on. What is one reality tunnel you might be in right now? We all have them. And just identifying yours, well, that's the very first step out of the echo chamber and onto the path of mental fitness.